Take one.
Hello, everybody. Today is a special day. We're going to do a little special insert podcast. It's not going to be a full show, but it is going to be about an artist that one of our Studio Rat HQ members worked with. My name is Stephen Couch, and I'm here with Derek Jablonski and Richard Cap. And this is Studio Rat HQ. We are available online with podcasts about artists that recorded at Richard's recording studio called Indigo Ranch in Malibu, California.
There it is.
We've recorded about 12 or 13 shows about various artists, from Korn, Slipknot, to other genres like Olivia Newton-John and Neil Young, and they're all available online for you to listen to here at www.youtube.com/StudioRatHQ or on our website, StudioRatHQ.com, where you can download the audio if you'd like to take it with you and listen.
And just to mention, StudioRatHQ.com is one word, StudioRatHQ.com,
Right.
rather than three separate words.
So the three of us are musicians, recording engineers, and producers. Richard is the best known out of all of us. Today we're going to talk about a album that was done there, but you might not ever hear, or maybe one day you will, and that was recorded by Robert Downey Jr. The reason we're talking about this is because Iron Man.
Put it out there. Stark
Iron Man,
Enterprises.
Chaplin, amongst things.
Yep.
He goes way back to Weird Science, if you remember that.
Absolutely.
Back to School.
Great.
Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield.
Was he in that? I didn't know.
Yeah, one of my favorite. He played Derek Lutz, and he was the goofy sidekick friend. And I remember that Rodney's son was like, "Dad, I've got one friend, Derek, and he's got no friends."
Oh, that was him.
And that line is stuck with me because obviously his name is Derek, and it's
Derek,
one of my favorite movies.
No, that's a great movie, and he had a bit part in Weird Science, and he was great. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that most people didn't know that he was also a talented musician and singer. And the reason we're bringing this up is because he recently made news singing with Sting on stage.
I saw him as a talented musical artist, as a dancer in Chaplin.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But I had the unique privilege and honor of being able to record him with his producer, Ethan Johns, mm-hmm. of the Johns family heritage, Andy Johns, Glenn Johns, and the youngest son, Ethan Johns, mm-hmm. Who's made quite a name for himself as an artist and as a engineer and producer.
Well, I believe
they recorded this album at Indigo Ranch, with Robert Downey singing and playing, and to my astonishment, he is one of the best musicians I've ever heard.
Well, why do you think it was never released?
I think he did it kind of
just for himself,
as just to to prove to himself that he could do it.
And what kind of genre? What was the genre?
Kind of bluesy. He
blues
sat down,
rock
blues, 12-bar bluesy, type of thing. He sat down and played the piano with the kind of authority and finesse of somebody like Little Richard or that sort of thing, and it was kind of Chuck Berry-ish kind of songs that he had written, and it was just amazing stuff. It was like, wow, who knew? I mean, when I heard his voice, and he was just sitting at the piano, acoustic piano, the big Steinway at Indigo, and he was sitting there playing piano. I was like, wow, who? I didn't know you know. And then he starts singing. He's got this thick, unbelievable voice. blues kind of voice. And he's a rocker.
Yeah. Well,
He,
he did put out an album in 2004 called The
yes.
Futurist, which was on, I believe, Sony, like one of their classical labels. I never heard much about that one, but this is, and that one's labeled as his debut. So this album you did was his debut,
It's funny when you do an album.
unreleased.
Oftentimes, you don't know what's going to happen to it. I mean, I don't know. There may be pieces on that album
From the Indigo tapes.
that came from the Indigo tapes. Who knows? Oftentimes, I've recorded things or been part of the recording team, as I was on this one. Ethan was really the producer and did most of the engineering feat. And you never know where it's going to pop up.
Did you get the feeling that these were demos, or were they working on final tracks?
They sounded pretty good to me.
Right.
And I'm not easily fooled.
And he paid for these sessions out of his own pocket.
Yes.
So there was no record label behind it.
No, there was. Not that I know of.
Was there any talk about potential record label interest, or was it just not talked about?
It was pretty much, he just went in and played his heart out for a few days, and that's the last I heard of it, although I've periodically run into Robert at various things, and we know each other. The album has never been a topic of conversation again.
Well, like Derek mentioned, he obviously has kept his foot in the door, at least in recording and all that.
Mhm.
And it's interesting that, I mean, when you say a whole album, are we talking about 12 tracks of just him on piano and vocals, or is it full instrumentation, or what?
Well, as I say in every one of these shows, it's a mixture of fact and fiction, and some
According to memory.
some memory.
Right.
I think he played guitar also.
Okay.
It's rumored, as of this year, it says here, rumored that he's putting out his first pop album.
Okay. Well, this was during the 90s.
He's amazingly talented. Well, this was right around the turn of the century. I'd say 10 to 15 years ago.
So late 90s.
Late 90s or early 2000s. I don't have an exact date in front of me, but it was just one of those projects that came in, and it was like, wow.
He had managed to really put himself on the map with Chaplin, but then, as everybody knows in publicity, got into some trouble and kind of kept a low profile, doing various parts here and there, but obviously came back into the fold as a major star with Iron Man, and then
Huge, yeah.
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes
Yeah.
as a major.
God, he was great in that.
Yeah, so this was kind of like at a low period for him or whatever. I mean, how were his spirits? Was he just kind of, hey, everybody, in good spirits, or was it? Could you see that there was pressure?
It was a very private session.
Okay.
He didn't have a bunch of people hanging around. Basically, I think there was Robert and Ethan and me, and I might have had one more person from Indigo, but I believe it might have even just been the three of us most of the time. And it was like a person who has music in their soul and wants to get it out and has the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
And then, just recently we're starting to see him as a vocal with Sting,
Right.
and then he did a couple other TV appearances with him singing, and he's emerging as a not just an actor, not just a dancer, but as a kind of what you'd call all-around artist.
Right, yeah.
Well, that was the thing, is that we were talking about early movies that we saw him in, like Back to School and Weird Science, where he was sort of comical, He did Less Than Zero, where he was troubled teen or early 20s type, and he was solid and very good and funny. And then everything changed when Chaplin came out because they were like, wow, this guy can really act.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, this guy's really got the goods, and it was kind of impressive to see that change. And then, of course, as we talked about, all the kind of troubles that he had with the law and substances and all that came about. And so it's great to see him reemerge again.
He's a wonderful guy.
Yeah,
I
I
wish
met
him
him.
all of the best. We don't really have much that we can say about this,
Right.
except that we wanted to acknowledge on this Studio Rat podcast
Well, he recorded at Indigo. I
that
mean,
we had an opportunity to record one of the great artists of our time,
yeah,
and I mean a real artist that can do basically anything. Uh, I would love to hear the album Surface, because there were some songs that I can remember humming in my head for days afterwards. So that to me is always this earmark of a great song, is when I can't get it out of my head.
Right.
yeah. I met him in Malibu at an event, and we spoke a bit. Very casual basis, and really nice person, really down to earth as well. He's a mega star, and when I met him, he was in the mega star realm. He wasn't in a peak or a valley, but he was at a peak, and really nice, really down to earth, really easygoing, easy to talk to. And when we were going over the client list of Indigo Ranch, I saw him on there, and I was like, what's this all about? Now we're talking about the whole record that he recorded. One thing is, Richard, you have a lot of the master tapes of the artists that you recorded. We've shown them on our Facebook page. You've even shown bits on the podcast here. Do you have those of Robert Downey's?
No.
What about?
Nobody went home with a tape of that I know of, except for Robert.
What about DAT tapes?
I don't have any mix downs. I don't have any.
We couldn't
CDs
hear him anyway.
Or anything.
No.
Yeah.
No, don't get me wrong, people. I'm not like saying we're going to publish them. I'm just curious at what
I mean, I've been given a number of tapes over the years.
Right.
Where
Exactly.
the artist said, here's your copy.
Exactly.
And that's not one of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if Robert or anybody associated with this is listening, my hat's off to one of the great artists of our time, who can sing, act, dance, and is going to be an influence for generations to come.
Yeah, totally.
And I would love for any music that you have hidden away to become public.
Yeah.
Surface.
I will say,
I had the rare opportunity and privilege of being one of the few that heard this music going down.
Your client list is it really goes out past music too. I mean, I know you did stuff with Martin Sheen, and for just
Charlie Sheen is,
and Charlie.
Yeah.
and Charlie Harper. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I was having lunch with an actor buddy 2 days ago, and he used to be on The West Wing, and he was talking about working with Martin Sheen and just what a cool guy he was, and how friendly and so not celebrity, and I was like, yeah, I think Richard actually used to do his voiceover stuff or whatnot. So
I did his voiceovers for 25 years. He was the voice of Toyota, the voice of Florida Orange Juice, the voice of various commercial things. I think he's the voice of Centrum vitamins now.
Oh, cool.
And
one of my favorite voiceovers of his was he did the intro voiceover to JFK, which I think
I did that.
Yeah, I love.
I actually recorded the JFK stuff, and I recorded when Apocalypse Now was reissued as a CD with an extra however many minutes it was of previously unreleased material. We did all the ADR, automatic dialogue replacement of Martin's, and in that he had to act vocally like he was 25 years younger.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Because that, all of that was, done in the 70s maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 76, I think.
And here he is. There was one scene where Martin's jumping. They have a lot of this that was just recorded to the mic and the camera. And there was a scene where he's jumping off a boat and, says something as he hits the ground. And he got up on a stool and jumped off. So it had that sound of him hitting and making a vocal line and, trying to act vocally like he was 25 years younger. Martin is another one of those unbelievable talents.
Yeah. And you also did all the recordings for the TV show Alf.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Alien life form.
From
You
Melmac or Malmac.
You recorded the voice of the alien, quote unquote.
Yeah, that was added in post rather than being recorded along with the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, there was a thing that was called Alf the Cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Watched
like
that
a
too.
Saturday morning thing.
I never watched it. I never got Alf.
And I did all of Alf's voice for that. It was a weekly thing at Indigo where they'd come up and the secret voiceover person who did Alf's voice would record. And part of the reason that they chose Indigo was because we were 25 miles off of the Hollywood beaten track,
that's
and they
hilarious.
They could keep it a secret.
That's
who the voice was.
Well,
I don't think it's known to this day.
Well, for me, Alf was a little different.
I'm not going to blow it.
Because, when I was a kid, Alf was on. I mean, it was on 86 to 90, so I was 5 years old, and that's, 5, 6, 7, 8, or whatever. And I remember, or 9, 86 to 90, and I remember Alf being like one of my favorite shows.
Oh, it was a hit. It was definitely.
Me too.
My favorite.
And I was old. I was in my probably late 40s by then, or early 40s, and it was one of my favorite shows. It must have been actually late 30s, early 40s,
Mm-hmm.
and there's one line that is one of my favorite lines to this day, when Alf had turned the backyard into Gilligan's Island and flooded the yard and had palm trees that he had planted and stuff like that. And the family comes out and says, what are you doing? You've messed up the yard and all that kind of stuff. And he says, yeah, but I'm reliving Gilligan, and and the father says to him, he says, but didn't you ever see that all the episodes were the same?
Yeah.
He says, well, what do you mean? Gilligan's Island, one of the, ran for years, one of the great shows of all time. He says, but they're all the same. He almost escapes.
Right.
And then something goes wrong, and he's back on the island.
Yeah, they never make it home.
And Alf's answer, this is the good part, Alf's answer was, I had failed to recognize the pattern.
Yeah, it was.
And
it was
that
smart.
became a studio saying for the next 25 years of, I had failed to recognize the pattern.
That's so good. That was a really good show.
I could never get around, what they call the suspension of disbelief. I could never get around that it was just a puppet just a puppet talking, and I get the context, and it was well written, and the acting was very good, and I just never got. I was like, that's a puppet. I'm not buying into it being an alien, and that was E.T. as well, and I think Alf was probably a spinoff due to the E.T. craze, but yeah, I mean, I just was like,
we've gone a long ways from Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. But we're talking about
this is just a general thing of some of the little known facts of things that were done at Indigo.
Right. That it was not just all rock and roll or jazz or whatever genre of music that it was. That film actors as well coming in there. You also did Katie Siegel too. She did a record out there, right?
She did a record before she got the audition for All in the Family.
All of it.
And
About
not all of it. I mean,
Married with Children.
Yeah,
Married
Katie
with Children.
Segal.
Excuse me.
Right.
And she's a wonderful singer. Her husband was the bass player, Fred Beckmeyer. I believe it was one of the Beckmeyer brothers that she was married to, and she did this incredible album, and then suddenly she got the Married with Children part and never looked back.
Yeah.
But she as a vocalist is extremely talented.
Terry Garr as well.
Oh wow.
I did the music for a TV musical that Terry Garr starred in, and she's a good vocalist.
What was it? Do you remember the title of the Terry Garr project?
I don't, but I remember.
So her character sang on the TV show?
Her character sang, and I did all the vocal recording for her.
And what happened to Katie Segal's record? Was that released? Did it go anywhere?
I don't know that it ever got released. It might have. It should have.
Right.
But once she got the Married with Children part, she was so busy.
Yeah,
we didn't see her again. I saw her a few times years later, but that show took over her life.
What about?
I know she still performs occasionally for benefits.
She does
around
now.
Hollywood.
I know that.
Yeah, and then she was on Sons of Anarchy, which has been like a huge hit. So another very successful person that that you've had the opportunity
did a
to work
record
with.
that you may never hear.
What about? I know another person on the client list, an actor. Now that we're talking about Hollywood actors, Burgess Meredith.
Burgess Meredith came up to record plays that he was going to be starring in, and they did it like a reading for a radio show, where each of the people in the play had a mic, and they would read their part and get the parts memorized and practiced and rehearsed, so that when they went on to do the actual live performances, that they had some time under their belt working together.
Well, like we said, this is just an excerpt, so we won't go on and on, but I will, Richard, give you one more actress, and you can express whatever opinion you like. We've talked about this actress in the past.
I hate to say anything about those sessions, except that they were very uptight and uncomfortable.
Yeah, let's take it from a different angle. Let's take it from a different angle then, and we'll sum up with this as well.
My wife would love to comment on it.
I talked with her about it many times, but let's just say objectively that it was an unpleasant recording session. Mm-hmm. So as a professional engineer, and Derek, we've all done it. Just give us your take on this particular one. How does one react when it's not going very well?
Professionally.
Well, what does that mean?
That means you just record it and shut up.
You don't say anything.
Nope, I didn't.
No opinions.
Nope.
Right.
It got to a point where my wife was so offended that I just had to, not make just do my job, be a fly on the wall, making sure that the recording went well, and stay out of it.
Yeah, I mean, we're not even gonna. We're not talking about whether.
I mean, she's one of my favorite actresses.
Yeah, it's not a matter of her being a good or a bad person. The sessions just could have not worked. It just could have been a bad series of sessions for whatever reason.
Uh-huh.
And I just wanted to kind of get you to tell the audience how you reacted because as Hollywood and the recording industry, unless you watch behind the music, we always hear about how it's always great and everybody's great and awesome and it's all just perfect and ideal. But we also know that it doesn't always go that way. And that's why I just wanted to kind of get you to just kind of...
Those were a few difficult days spent with a superstar actress, who I doubt that I will ever get the opportunity to be around her in any artistic endeavor again. But she got what she needed, and most everybody there was reduced to just do your job.
Yeah, just get on with it.
Yeah, she's the star. She's the she's. You just have to deal with a kind of yeah.
Enough said. Enough said.
Right.
We've all dealt with personalities.
Yeah, this
that
is not
you don't always mesh with.
And it may have just been the day for her. I don't know.
It could have just
but
been
she came up with some rocks in her bag.
Right. Well, yeah, just as Derek and I were saying, this is not a we're not interested in gossip or smear or anything. It just it didn't go well.
Say anything about her talent. She pulled off her part with the extreme precision and talent that she shows in everything that she does.
Right, she's an extraordinary talent. So there you have. We did a brief show here talking about a different angle on Indigo, Hollywood stars. Some recorded music, some recorded voiceover or books to tape, which is another thing that, as an engineer or whatever, you can get into. And just touched on a little bit of what could happen if a session kind of goes southward for whatever reason, technical reasons, personality reasons, however you want to label it.
Sure.
And we have a show coming out just about every week about artists that recorded at Indigo. The client list is extensive.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
We've started to launch secondary services related to Studio Rat HQ. We're launching a music service so that we can listen to your songs, or even your voiceover recordings, or anything. Maybe you have questions about that. Please let us know you can either leave comments here at youtube.com/Studio Rat HQ. You can go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com Studio Rat HQ.
Don't forget to like it.
Please like it and subscribe to us, because we are coming out with videos on this on a weekly basis. Sometimes there might be 2 weeks in between, but just about every week have a new show coming out with a new recording. We also have this podcast and other podcasts available for download in audio format on our website, which is studiorathq.com.
STUDIORATHQ, one word, .com.
And just about every podcast that we've done with artists ranging from Slipknot, Sepultura, Limp Bizkit, Korn, Olivia Newton-John, El Tree. We have photos and memorabilia from those sessions, and you can see those photos on the Studio Rat HQ Facebook page. So if you want to subscribe or like us and friend us, you can also do so on the photos. That's about it.
Thank you.
This was another good brief show, and we're glad to talk about a different side of recording. And Stephen Couch here with Derek Jablonski and Richard Kaplan. Same rat time, same rat channel. And we hope to see you soon. Thanks. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.